Hello, procrastinators!
Woo!
We're back again, a little bit later than normal because we were just waiting for something to happen for us to talk about.
In the world. Anything at all.
Exactly,
Literally anything, please.
But it didn't.
Nothing happened.
So, here we are.
Any questions? Any questions? That was it. That was the podcast. I hope you had fun. Ta-ra!
Okay, so, yes, let's... We've scraped together what we can. So,
Yes.
sorry if it's a bit light, but let's go with it.
Yeah, I suppose. We'll have a go.
Yeah, so we'll start off with gaming news. I
Which
have
there is
nothing. Yeah, the only thing that I kind of had in gaming news is I was going to play the new Game of Thrones Telltale game so that I could talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realised I'm dyslexic.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a timer for making decisions which are written on the screen. And I cannot even read one of those options in the time it gives me. So I didn't play it. I didn't buy it. I sort of saw this on a Let's Play and sort of went, okay, not touching that anymore. And this kind of bugs me that as a dyslexic, there are lots of games that do this. And I kind of wish that people allowed for slower reading speeds in their games. The ones that really bug me is like Tim Schafer does it in a few of his games, like Stacking, which I love as a game, but the text just goes too quickly for me to read.
Mm-hmm.
So it just really bugs me that I'm missing out on some of the universe. So I really wish that people had a slower read speed on games. Now, I appreciate there are some games that just aren't going to work for me. Like, obviously, Papers, Please wouldn't work if it had a dyslexic mode where everything was slow, because then everyone could play on that and get better results. Like, you kind of... The pressure is part of it, and therefore you need the pressure to make it work. But I don't think that Game of Thrones would be that much worse if it was just slower and let you read the options. That's not something where how much time is actually affecting how many decisions you can make. So I suppose that's my blanket request to the gaming industry is could you be a bit more respectful for dyslexics and let us actually have time to read options? I'd appreciate that.
I too have a request to the gaming industry.
Okay.
This is an important one, and it's sort of almost the same sort of thing, but not quite. Dear gaming industry, don't take pause buttons away. I've seen this recently. A fair few games just don't have pause buttons. Like, there's just no way of pausing the game. I have other shit in my life. It's like, because the one I always get bitchy about is Dark Souls. Dark Souls doesn't have a pause button. People go, well, it's so when you're checking the inventory, monsters could attack you. I'm like, yeah, but if the phone goes, what do I do? Like, a pause button that doesn't access the inventory, that just goes, pause. Just the word pause appears on the screen and nothing happens. That would be great. I know some people are like, oh, but then you could check walkthroughs. Fuck it! I need to get the door if it goes, you know? I have other things that I could be doing. If I'm cooking something, it's nice to pause and then go back to it. It's really annoying when I just can't pause a game. I don't care that you go, oh, but the inventory is moving. You can have that. Just give me a pause as well. Dedicate a button to making the game not go anymore. Please. Thank you, gaming industry.
I mean, I've definitely seen pause games where they do hide information from the game when you pause. To try, particularly puzzle games do it a lot, where it's like if you pause a game and it takes away all of the numbers, it's like, oh yeah, we're not giving you extra time to work things out, but feel free to go and live your life and come back to this.
Yeah. You just push a button and then the screen goes black with the word pause in white writing on it. So I can't go, oh, there's a thing and I can look this up. That would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be lovely. Please, let me pause games. Please.
I agree with this. There we go.
Thank you. You agreed on something. I actually also have some gaming news. Sort of.
Oh, great.
Almost gaming news.
Almost.
I finally watched an absolutely ancient trailer for a game and thought it sounded good.
Oh.
I saw the trailer for Final Fantasy 15.
Okay.
And I think it looks interesting.
It does look interesting.
Now, for those of you that don't know, my history with the Final Fantasy games has been attempting to play 2 or 3 of them and giving up and calling them bullshit. Because I just can't stand for to turn-based strategy in that sort of way. It's not turn-based strategy, turn-based mashing X.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's I'll mash X, you mash X, I'll mash X. That's just, I can't stand that. But this doesn't look turn-based, it looks real-time, and it looks like the story... I hope they've given all the story away in this, because I just hope the game is this. Is you're 4 emo kids in a car trying to get one of you to a date, and it's a bromance-based road trip versus
a little
monsters. Bit. I hope that's the whole story.
One of them's a prince, but other than that, I think that's roughly the plot.
Because that just looks like such fun. You've made a Top Gear game. Apart from... I don't think there's much hair like that. If I can mod James May's hair onto all of them, I think Final Fantasy 15 may be the best game ever. But it just looks quite cool. I just like the movesets look quite nice. There was a lot of play between all the characters. The monsters look amazing. The game, of course, looks gorgeous. It's a Final Fantasy game. But this time it's a Final Fantasy game with actual gameplay. So I don't know how they've managed to keep the gameplay gorgeous. Because that's always the thing. It's like the graphics are fantastic because fuck all is going on. And they could make the graphics fantastic. But now there's like gameplay and shit. What?
Well, it's working on their next-gen system, which is just basically their new game engine that they've been working on for yonks. Yeah. But I will say that this was originally the not Final Fantasy game. That this was Final Fantasy 13 Versus, which was called Versus because it had actual gameplay as opposed to turn-based strategy.
Yes.
Because that when they make these sorts of games,
I will point out, turn-based strategy is legitimate. Civilization, Worms Armageddon, stuff like that, yes. RPGs, no, I can't stand it. It's just mash the button and you've grinded enough that you just hit the X button and you get through easily.
Okay, I will say at this point that I love turn-based strategies. But
RPGs.
And RPGs, and so I am at the other end of the spectrum. But I also admit that I think that the new Final Fantasy looks like it could be interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to it, especially sort of the throwing swords around and teleporting to the swords.
Yeah,
definitely looks
cool.
like an interesting thing. I'll wait until the demo comes out. I might grab it on Type 0, which the demo is coming out with.
What the fuck is Type 0?
Type 0 is the other game that was supposed to be come out in that trilogy of Final Fantasy 13 games, and then they realised 13 was a rubbish system, so they didn't want to bring out any other games. And it was released for the PSP and is now being released on the PlayStation 4. And that seems like quite a leap.
Yes.
But
not the PSP, the original PSP.
Yeah, the PSP to PS4.
Oh, okay.
But it's the first Western release for it. So I was only in Japan on the PSP. And from what I understand, basically they've just took all of the character models from the cutscenes and put them into the actual game. So they basically got rid of all of... So from what I have heard of people who have played it, the high-def release has much higher quality characters than it does backgrounds, because they had already built the high-quality models for cutscenes, but had not built all of the high-quality backgrounds. So I've heard mixed opinions, and basically its biggest selling point seems to be, according to all of the trailers, it has the Final Fantasy 15 demo. So I might pick up that's coming out sometime this year, I think.
I look forward to it.
And yeah, we'll see.
When's Final Fantasy 15 out then? 77 years away or something
Maybe
like that?
the end of this year. I mean, bearing in mind it was released at the beginning of the PlayStation 3, before the PlayStation 3 was out.
Yeah.
That was the PlayStation 3 exclusive when they gave 13 to the Xbox.
Yeah. That sucks to be you, Xbox. Yeah.
So,
I don't know. If it's coming out this year, I'll probably remember to pick it up. I'm just looking at the wiki page now, and it says mini games such as fisting. Fishing. that would be a very different game. Minigames such as fishing. I was about to say, oh, it's got like I was going to make Animal Crossing based jokes, but no, minigames such as fisting. I lied. I'm not on Wikipedia. I'm not on Wikipedia. Right. Okay. Right. Camps form a safe haven during exploration. There you go. Bring Graham Norton along. Change the subject quickly.
Okay. So. What you're saying is, it sounds very gay, and that's a good thing.
It sounds like a big Top Gear episode with monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they tried to go with more boy band sort of look. They definitely went with that, let's have a boy band. So it's kind of One Direction only without music or something.
Okay, that sounds like a much improved One Direction.
Oh, One Direction, a boy band. I know nothing other than they're successful.
I only know these people from the jokes people make on panel shows about them.
Me too. I know they exist and they're a thing, but that's it.
I've never had it proved to me they exist, though. That's a problem. Yeah. Oh, well. I'm sorry, I'm just flicking through the thingy now. The bottom line of the Wikipedia page for Final Fantasy 15 is possible sequels. Make this one first! For fuck's sake! Jesus! You've got... Jesus!
I really hope they aren't planning on a sequel, because really, the fact that 13 had planned sequels is kind of the reason it carried on having sequels.
Yeah.
And there was so much of a... sort of, you're just making sequels because you planned these. The game sales are not justifying you making these. You screwed up enough that if this was a new game, it would be so much better.
Yeah.
You're introducing new characters. You're just there going, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Apparently you can drive the car. I thought the car would be like an auto-drive thing. Oh, it's an open world game, Final Fantasy 15. I assumed it would be driving just to linear levels and hacking some stuff.
No, it's open world. JRPGs have always been partially open world and are now becoming more open world.
Yeah, they were always sort of like you had where you could go wherever you wanted to, but it was sort of like there was the important bits and then there were tunnels between them. Sometimes you jumped over them, like the old Final Fantasies, and in Pokemon you just sort of wandered through them.
Exactly, yeah.
That's where I know. I know Final Fantasy 3 and Pokemon. That's all I know.
The classic one is you do the first 2/3 of the plot on a linear scale, and then you get the open world part where you can go and do pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And finishing the end of the last third of the game is the most boring option versus let's take down the ultimate monsters or find the super secret weapons and things.
If I remember rightly, like the newest Final Fantasy was 2/3 tutorial. Tutorial in one long, boring corridor is what I heard. But that may have been a previous one. I don't really pay much attention.
That was 13. 13 really screwed up so much.
So what was 14 then? Was that the online one?
That's the online one.
Okay. And there was the 12 different versions of 13.
There was 13, 13.2, and 13, and Lightning Returns. 13 is awful. Absolutely awful. Mostly, they've created this thing called the paradigm system, but then they didn't introduce it like in the first hour and a half of playing the game. So the idea of the paradigm system was that you changed classes quickly, and that was what your tactical decision was which classes do I want to use. And the game is then very quick at doing things, but mostly you allow your characters to auto-choose their own attacks. You only slightly tweak them. So basically, if you've got a healer, he's automatically going to heal people. And if you've got an aggressive person, they're automatically going to attack using their strong moves. So lots of that was very automated, so that you could make the decisions of, okay, now I want everyone to be Ravengers, or now I want everyone to be Commandos because he's now been weakened, and things like that. So that was not a bad system, but it wasn't introduced until 2, maybe 3 hours into the game. And before then, all of your characters automatically attack through all combat. It's like, what would you like to do? Attack? Or click the option which just automatically puts attack into your bar. Like, and you go through like a good sort of 20 of those battles and you're just there going, why am I doing this? Like, JRPGs already struggled from the feeling like you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
But then that at the beginning, and then on top of that, it has some of the worst level design ever. Like, even if it's an open world sort of area, which is actually a straight line because you have to get somewhere, like, the fact that I can go down a corridor that's in the wrong direction, even if it's just a dead end or has a monster in it or has an item for me to pick up, it makes me feel like I'm exploring and going around a world. But they just did so many straight corridors with no option of picking up anything else that there was just... It was just... you were unable to get into the game and feel like you had any control unless you put at least 10 hours into that game.
Yeah.
And most people gave up before then. Like, the only reason I know it got better is because my dad actually really enjoyed the game, because I played like the first 5 hours and even by then I'd given up. And
yeah.
I like Final Fantasy games.
You like JRPGs.
And
I like one. I've like one or two. Two.
Yeah.
I like 2 JRPGs ever made. I'm not including Pokemon because I played them as recent one. It made me want to kill things. God, that game was awful. I didn't grind and I was still vastly stronger than everything. And I started skipping battles and it was still vastly stronger than everything. I'm like, where's the balancing in this game?
Well,
I'm going to replay Star Ocean. I've decided. I want to replay Star Ocean. I recently found a copy of it. So I'm going to have a re-go. If you've never played Star Ocean, Till the End of Time, which is like the 3rd Star Ocean game.
I have no idea.
It's like the only RPG I've ever actually played all the way through, apart from The World Ends With You, which is also amazing, but I don't really consider it an RPG, it's more of an action game.
But yeah, sorry, the second Final Fantasy 13 was then also amazingly wrong for a completely different reason. So their sequel to this really crappy game was to improve level design but destroy any small semblance of plot that they had. The whole game is based around time travel, which isn't something that's necessarily bad in a JRPG, because you can then go back and make decisions and it affects other futures. Like, that can work. But no, none of that happens. It's set over a time period, not of, a lifetime, but of, 1,000 years. So, there are times where you can go 500 years into the future, but lots of the people are still alive who are around from 500 years ago. And it's never quite explained why. And sometimes some people keep going into stasis, and some people turn out to be robots of the old versions, and then there's also sort of this... And the whole storyline
every person has just a different explanation.
Yeah. And
that's fucking hilarious.
And then, someone who... The lead character from the last game is now basically in Valhalla fighting for the survival of... Yeah, it's just completely insane. I didn't really play this. Again, my dad did, and that's how I know most of this. But from what I saw of it, that was just crazy. Oh, and they went with the very Pokemon... as in...
Gotta catch 'em all.
Well, in the last game you had about 9 characters. However, it was really annoying because unlike normal games where you have 9 characters and you get to choose who's in your party, they kept going off with sort of 2 characters go off over here and 2 characters go off over there and 2 characters go off over there. And you then kept switching between the various streams, which meant you never got to choose who your characters were. which I was less fond of. In this game, you only have 2 characters, and then the third slot in your party is monsters that you acquire. I can't remember how you acquire them, but you acquire these monsters.
You bribe them with a flute.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So then, that was a slightly better game because it just was. But plot-wise, it was kind of just batshit crazy. And more batshit crazy than Final Fantasy normally is. And then Lightning Returns was kind of real-time action-y, so I kind of enjoyed that. But it wasn't
it a go.
It wasn't Final Fantasy, and it wasn't in a universe where any of the plot was good. So...
Oh shit, is 15 in the same universe? Because it was versus 13.
I believe not. I believe it was under the idea that crystals was an important part of that universe, and so that's what they had in similar, but I imagine they have severed all ties now.
I'm Googling it. God, I don't want this to be wrong. I know for a fact I'm skipping the cutscenes anyway, but
I think
it's in right. Okay, so there's the Fabulo Nova Crystallis Final Fantasy. It's a series of games which includes Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy Type 0, Final Fantasy 13-2, Final Fantasy 13...
But it's not all in the same universe.
Final Fantasy Go, and then Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, but it's not all set in the same universe. They are collected through theme rather than by universe, I believe.
Okay. Let's fucking hope so.
As in, the Type 0, which is the also in that universe, is about a magic school. And the one that I was just talking about, Final Fantasy 13, is everyone lives in a sphere above the planet, and then the surface is something else, and no one lives on the surface. Like, and it's a very sci-fi game, so one is very fantasy, one's very sci-fi, so like, I'm pretty confident they're not the same, and there's definitely no giant cities in the way that we see giant cities in the trailers for 15. So I'm fairly confident it's something new.
Let's hope so. I hope it's insane. I like insane.
I hope so too, because
I need insane.
They need to have killed off the 13 universe because it's so bad.
Just blow it up and get a new one in. That'll be fine.
Well, that's what Final Fantasy normally does. And I commend them for it. Like, I do enjoy the fact that most Final Fantasy games are basically... What makes them a Final Fantasy game is... we're making it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that's what you should do. Like, I would love it if, the next... Ratchet and Clank game had nothing to do with Ratchet and Clank and was just, no, we're making a platformer by Insomniac, and we just use that name so you could follow the team and the spirit.
Like Far Cry.
Yeah.
Far Cry's first one was an action shooter versus mutants on an island. The second one was a dusty desert survival. The third one was, again, tropical islands, but more of an animal survival-y thing, and the fourth one is, I don't know. It's a thing in mountains, roughly the same. It's kind of the same thing. I really want to play Star Ocean until the end of time now, just to see if it was good. Because I've always, in my head, I've always gone, that's the JRPG that I like, so it's okay, but I may not like it again. I remember it not being turn-based, which is probably why I like it.
Yeah.
And I remember it having the most stupid plot. Like, spoilers for Star Ocean until the end of time... You end up discovering that your entire universe is a computer simulation. You're a computer program, and then you leave the computer program and fight the guy that made you, which is just battling God, which is what you do in every other fucking JRPG in the world. But then you lose, and your universe gets blown up. But it's fine because there was a backup. Not even kidding.
Yay!
They backed up your universe, so when you die, it's like, oh, it's fine. There, that's what happened.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to Xenoblade, the Oh, it's got a stupid title. Xenoblade Chronicles X.
It's already got Xenoblade in it. That's stupid enough for me, I think.
Well, it's called Xenoblade because the guy who is in charge of creating it creates the Xeno games. Which, well, it actually has a fun story because he originally created a game which was going to be Final Fantasy VII for Squaresoft. And then what happened was he said, I'm going to make this game. And they said, it's too dark and too confusing for a Final Fantasy game. Which, considering Final Fantasy VII is fairly famous for being one of the darker and more confusing games of its time, is saying something. But they let him release his game anyway as a game which he then called Xenogears, which apparently you can see how much it's been cut down. Like, from what I've heard from other RPG fans, it's like the best game. It comes on 2 discs, but it was supposed to come on 4 discs. And rather than cutting down the plot, they decided to cut down. They basically squeezed it all in cutscenes, which basically means that lots of the plot on the second disc is just told through slideshows where they show you a screenshot and then text telling you what would have happened in this part of the game if they'd have had the extra 2 discs. So apparently the first disc is the best game you've ever played, and the second game is the worst slideshow you've ever had to sit through on a computer game. So that was his first sort of cool game. Then he moved away from Squaresoft and made a different thing called Xenosaga. So he got to create that, and that was, again, his themes are mechs and humans and mechs living together, and artificial intelligence and things like that. So that was kind of Xenosaga, and that was actually sort of 3 or 4 games that he managed to get made, though both of those were supposed to be 7-part series, and he never got to make all 7 parts. So then he got hired by Nintendo, and finally got to make an RPG that he decided would just be 1 part, which he called Xenoblade, which was a very good game.
Yeah.
And then he decided to make the sequel, which is set in a completely different universe. Now, whereas Xenosaga games had actually been in the same universe and same characters, so before, when he'd had Xenos with numbers after them, it meant it was actually a sequel. Whereas now, the Xenoblade Chronicles X is a completely different game to Xenoblade Chronicles. And Xenoblade Chronicles is a great game. But Xenoblade Chronicles X, you're just there going... Okay, so it's Xenoblade Chronicles X, which doesn't play on your Wii, it only plays on your Wii U. And it's not a sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles. It's like... There's just so much confusion in those titles. Yeah. Even more so when you consider the fact that Xenoblade Chronicles is now being... Which was for the Wii, has now been re-released on the DS new... Sorry, the 3DS new. Not the 3DS.
The new 3DS. Yeah. How the fuck do you sell a pre-owned new 3DS? How do you do? What is this? It's a pre-owned new 3DS. Oh, is it new? No, it's pre-owned. So it's a pre-owned 3DS. Now it's a pre-owned new 3DS. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, Jesus.
So yeah, despite Nintendo doing their best job to fail this, I'm really looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles. Don't know.
Did you see the news story that happened today? It was a few days ago now. That was some German researchers have made a version of Mario that has artificial intelligence, and he learns and adapts. And there's me going, this is the first time Mario has ever been self-aware. Like, the first time. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I had the joke. Carry on.
Fair enough. But
that's the gaming news. Let's draw a line under it, because otherwise we're just going to talk about JRPGs, and I am losing the will to live.
That's fair enough. Okay. Talking of losing the will to live, Doctor Who.
What about it now? What's
The
it
Christmas
doing?
special.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Okay, here's my review of the Christmas special. A, that is the first time Peter Capaldi has actually looked like the Doctor. It was an amazing episode. B, that should not have been a Christmas episode. That was some seriously scary shit for Christmas. I watched it on Christmas evening thinking, oh, I'll just watch this before I go to bed. I did not sleep that night. That is one to watch during daylight hours. It's got basically head crabs. It's got Inception Dreamlike. It has a lot of good, fun stuff with it. So I really like it as an episode. There are bits that don't necessarily completely add up, like why did all of these things happen at the same time? But it's got some nice, clever bits. I really enjoyed it. So
it also has like a fantastic. Apparently, it has a really hasty rewrite right at the end because like the original plan was to kill off Clara. I actually don't even know if that happened or not. The original plan was the Doctor. I don't know what actually happened. The Doctor finds Clara and she's really old because I don't know why. And then she dies while the Doctor's there, and then it's sad, and the Doctor wanders off. But Clara apparently, whatever generally is common, apparently, like just as they were filming, was like, actually, no, I'll do another series. So they hastily bolted a bit on the end where I don't know what happened, or they changed the ending, or something.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense because that's the bit that most didn't make sense.
Yes,
was the second part of that.
Yes. So did she get old in the episode?
Well, okay, I mean, the spoiler warning is stupid now because you've already done it. But, yeah, there is a twist in that because they appear in a dream world that she looks young, and then when he rescues her, she's actually really old. Because remember, at the end of the main series, they both sort of said, we're not going to come back to each other. Yes. And then it turns out that when they next bump into each other actually was much later than he thought it was. And it was that kind of, oh, what a pity. And there's lots of sadness as well. Like, the whole thing is every Christmas is last Christmas and things. Like, it was a real bitch of a episode to make you feel like it really felt like a dark horror sad episode, which would have been a great normal episode, but as a Christmas episode, just Christmas episodes are supposed to be overly stupid and light.
They're supposed to be saccharine. They're supposed to be a Christmas Carol. I did watch the Christmas Carol. My whole family sat around and watched the Christmas Carol, which is the one with what's his name?
Sharks.
Yeah, flying sharks. Is it Kazrak or something like that?
And the guy who's named after that turning Top Gear.
Yes, him.
Gambon.
Yeah. Well, that is probably my favourite Matt Smith episode now. After rewatching, I'm like, this is so good. This is just the goodest thing. That was such a great episode. That was. This wasn't quite that good. Because the other one had the Christmas spirit of everything's got better and we can learn from things and we can change things. So that was that nice spirit and the enjoy things, and had sort of some beautiful lines and stuff. It wasn't that good, but this was by far the best episode Doctor Who had this year by a metric mile. Give it a watch, but I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure if it will still be on iPlayer anymore. So,
I can pick up the DVDs if need be.
Okay.
Did you watch the Top Gear special? That was good.
I didn't.
The Top Gear special. It was very entertaining. I like their big adventure things. They're like one of the only shows that still does that. Oh, I'll tell you what I have been enjoying. I really like Still Open All Hours.
That's been on my to watch list. I haven't got round to it.
The first episode is quite crap, and the original spin-off, because it was like the spin-off, and then now it's a full series. So the first episode of the full series was quite crap, but since then it's picked up, and I've just watched, I think, the fourth episode, and I was laughing all the way through it. It's like it's completely written as a 1970s sitcom. Like every single beat is 1970s sitcom, but it's as smart as those 1970s sitcoms were. I mean, because Open Hours was never my favorite. I preferred things like Porridge and that, but
I do
does
too,
have that sort of that bite to it now. And for ages, I couldn't place the kid, the guy who plays his kid. And halfway through an episode, I was like, "Oh, he's Jesus from Red Dwarf! Yes, nailed it! Knew I'd get there." Yes, that took a little while to get it, but it's actually really fantastic. I also like the fact that it's a show on TV where the cast aren't all the most attractive human beings on the planet. It's just a bunch of old people doing old things, and I like that. That's my favourite thing about the BBC, because America, you don't do this, do you? You don't have TV shows with old people. Now Boston Legal is no longer on the air.
I knew you were going to go for that. I was too.
The Boston Legal makes a point that it's the only show with old people on the air.
It's the thing they had with sort of every time they try and port over British comedies into America. Like, they had it with Red Dwarf, where it was like, let's move everyone over. It was like, okay, we're going to make them all attractive. It was like, no, you can't have an attractive Rimmer. Like, that's the whole point.
An attractive Rimmer doesn't work. Like, he needs to have a nose the size, like a shark.
Yeah.
Just a whole shark.
And you can almost have an attractive Lister, but he has to be a dirty...
Yeah, it's an attractive person covered in dirt. An attractive person who's just trekked across the Sahara. That's the sort of person you're looking for.
It's got to be a person with sort of Indian takeaway, sort of smudged down his t-shirt, and who burps and scratches his ass. Like,
yes,
it doesn't work with a person who looks like he's just walked out of a makeup commercial.
There is another series of Red Dwarf. They're filming it either now or soon.
Yeah, but not another American one, thank God.
No, never, ever, ever again we do the American Red Dwarf. America's very bad at taking British TV shows and turning them into something worth watching.
It's true.
Like, Britain can take American shit and make it better, but America's really struggles. Like, because The Apprentice is better. Well, was. Now it's a piece of shit. But The Apprentice, because American Apprentice is awful. But America occasionally, when they nail it, they fucking nail it. Like, thingy. Oh, fuck, the thing's called. The Improv Show.
Who's on first?
Whose line is it anyway?
Oh, that's the one.
Close, but you got me far enough. Whose line is it anyway? The American version is just vastly better than the British version, because it's manic.
They
it's
do better.
Insane and manic.
The improv is a much bigger thing in America anyway.
Yeah.
Because we value writers more. Whereas America prefers performers, and as such, improv is a much bigger thing in the world.
Yeah. I will point out, and this is my controversial opinion, that I am the only person in the world who has. I really like American Top Gear as well.
Yes.
I'm the only one, but because I don't watch Top Gear for the cars, I watch it for the adventures, and literally every episode of American Top Gear is they buy 3 cars and go off. We only get like one of those a year, but on American one we get like 12 of those, and the guys have started gelling together now, they've started building that friendship. Like, because people are like, oh, these guys have nothing in common. Yeah, they've been doing this for 1 episode. You're gonna need to give them more time before they become best friends forever. I'll be perfectly honest.
It's kind of true.
Just saying. Yeah, you just need that little bit of extra time. In
fairness, none of the British guys are best friends forever.
No, but that sort of that relationship needs to build up.
Yeah.
There does need to build that relationship up, and it gives time. And now it's got to a point where it's doing it.
Yeah.
So I watched it. That should be coming back soon, or has come back soon. I don't know, I can't remember. Episodes just came back. I fucking love episodes, and it just snuck up on me. It's like, episodes is on again. Woo! Episodes at the Blanc. That's good.
Yeah, I kind of wasn't the biggest fan and become way less of a fan as time went by. I gave up after the 2nd season.
It's getting... I just love watching Matt LeBlanc play a really dick version of Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Because it's just... It's the... Because we have first world problems. They have, like, Hollywood world problems. Like, in the most recent episode... he lost like half of his money for some reason for the tax thing. Like, he makes out like he's lost everything, but he's lost like half his money, and so he's there going, "I've lost $32 million," and the whole cast is like, "Yeah, but you still have $32 million," but he doesn't get it because he's lost that much. Like, but you still have that.
Yeah,
it's good fun.
Well,
I've been watching a bit of TV
on TV news. ABC have treated an amazing new TV show like they were Fox. Yeah, Gallivant. So,
that was the one you were telling me I had to watch
yes.
from Fear of Death, yes.
Gallivant is an Alan Menken TV show. So for those of you who don't know who Alan Menken is, he's basically the good bit of Disney. The magic... if you ever wondered what is the magic of a Disney animated movie, it's probably Alan Menken. I mean, he didn't do Frozen or The Lion King, but other than that, he basically did the good ones. He did he does the music. He does the music for Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, Enchanted, and Tangled. So, he does really great Disney musicals. And so he decided that he was going to do a TV show, which was basically he gets to write 3 songs per episode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's brilliant because it's Alan Menken and it's really stupid and self-aware, so everyone's aware of what's going on, that it's a really stupid, over-the-top musical, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely wonderful. Now, because the writer, Alan Menken, is writing all of the songs, there are only 8 episodes. Which, in American TV, is a tiny series. And
yes,
I mean, it's basically a British-length series because we only ever have one writer. And although it has different writers for each episode, because they've only got one musical writer, it's roughly the same thing. So I totally respect the fact that it only has 8 episodes, but ABC has decided to air these 2 episodes at a time.
Oh, no.
And
that's the death knell, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, okay, now your 8 episodes season is now 4 weeks long. And this is an episode where, because it's musical, I would happily have that aired twice a week. The same episode, but once as a sing-along.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of thing you want it for, is you watch it, you then talk about it the next day, and then the third day you have the sing-along with everyone.
Yep.
I think that would have worked much better for them, but yeah. It's really interesting, really nice. It's almost pantomime-like.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of very much a nice, silly, well-aware... Often goes for a silly, cheapy joke. A few adult jokes, but nothing overly risque.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll definitely have jokes about sort of, sex and things. Yes.
Cover your mouth!
Yes, but there's no swearing or anything in it. But they also put all of their star guests in the second half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I know saying second half of the season means not in the first 4 episodes. But they actually have sort of people who are... So Weird Al Yankovic is in it.
Ooh.
And...
See, now I have to watch it.
See, it's things like... Why was he not in the second or third episode? Why did you put him all the way back there? And on a lesser note, Ricky Gervais.
Ooh.
And... Yeah, so, they've got... good cast. I think Anthony Head is going to be in it as well at some point. But again, in the second half, and you're just there going, yeah, it's weird. But it's got Ted from Better Off Ted as the lead, and it's got I think it's Carson from Psych is the evil king.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's very fun and stupid and. Yes, definitely worth watching if you like musicals or don't like musicals. It's well, if you like musicals, you should watch it because it's a musical, and there's only been about 3 musical TV shows, and it's the first one that isn't about people who like music, because Glee and I can't even remember what the other one was called. Smash, that was it. They're both sort of I'm going to be making a musical, and all the songs are then there because I'm mostly talking about making a musical, which seems just stupid to me. Though I do appreciate that I enjoy TV shows about making TV shows, but for the most part, it's like, no, I want a musical about the adventure and going off and doing things. So this is a musical about a rubbish knight going off to save a princess who has already broken his heart once. Like, the beginning of the movie, not the movie, the TV series.
Movie. So, that's the you're calling it a movie. Oh, God. You've
well,
confused the audience.
Well, at 20 minutes per episode and 8 episodes, it's basically a movie.
Yeah, they made a movie.
But the first episode has... I will now go into spoilers for the first episode, but only the first episode. The first episode has sort of, he turns up to rescue the princess from the evil king. He's sort of like, you can offer her fame and wealth, but only I can offer her true love, and that is what she chooses. And then she sort of turns around and goes, actually, I want to go with the fame and the fortune. With the bad guy going, yes! So he's kind of washed up and broken-hearted after failing to save this princess, who was apparently more shallow than he'd planned. But then has kind of been told by someone who the evil king has taken over her kingdom that his wife secretly wants him back, so he's now going back to save her, and I won't go any further. But it's nice, fun, silly stories, silly asides. The sidekick page of the lead hero is Magnitude.
Pop, pop.
Yep. Also, I didn't realise he's also Lee Jordan in the Harry Potter movies.
Yes, I've told you this so many times. I know I've told you this.
Well, I still
You just thought I was
don't remember
racist,
these
didn't
things.
you? Whenever we watch it, I was like, yeah, that's it. It's like racist. Oh, speaking of, Community's got a date, coming back date, March 17th.
Has it?
March 17th. March
17th.
17th is coming back for the 6th series.
Yep. That's great.
Yeah.
Is it
Dan Harmon
is
was
it Yahoo or so or something?
Yeah, it's on Yahoo screen. Well, I have to work out how that works. But yes.
I think everyone is just there going, is that even a thing?
Is that adverts? Do you pay for that? I literally have no idea, but we'll work it out.
We will.
It's going to be strange considering we've got no Shirley, we've got no Pierce, we've got no Troy. You know, it's going to be a kind of an empty series.
It's just Abed.
It's just
talking,
it's always just been
playing
Abed,
all of the characters in the Imaginarium.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
He's just got a table in there.
Dreamatorium. For the love of God, it's a Dreamatorium.
Why do I keep saying Imaginarium? Where does that
Maybe you
from?
just have one. I don't know.
I don't know.
There
I'm
was a
sure
great,
someone will write it in the Reddit for me to find.
There was a great Dan Harmon quote when he was talking about the 6th series. He's basically just saying that he thinks it's going to go on for longer and he's going to be able to get more series out of it. He's like, we will have 6 seasons and we will have a movie, but that does not deny us the right of having 9 seasons and a Bethesda video game. Which I thought was quite fun. So yes, Community's coming out. And that's TV.
That's TV. Yep. Now on to movies.
Now, I have something to say.
Go for it.
I've watched Guardians of the Galaxy! Da, 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 da. Only took like 8 years to get around to the fucking thing, but I finally watched it.
It was a year. It came out in 2014.
A year to do that, and I finally watched it.
What did you think?
And I didn't like it very much. Truthfully, it felt like Firefly meets The Fifth Element with none of the charm of Firefly and none of the bright colours of Fifth Element. There was so many glaring plot holes. It didn't know if it wanted to take the piss out of sci-fi tropes or embrace them. And what it would do, it would embrace the sci-fi trope and then take the piss out of it, but then it was just taking the piss out of itself. So when they have the scene where they dramatically all stand up, and you're like, it's a suicide plan, they all gradually stand up. Then it's just like, oh, and then they make a joke like, oh, we all stood up. Well, yeah, you did. Now you should have just gone, I refuse to stand up. Why would we all stand up? Let's just agree. The sit down and agree, and then he could have sat down looking all sheepish. They had I'm not saying it was unfunny. I did laugh at it. I especially love the bit where he hands over the orb and sort of fumbles it, drops it, goes off camera, and then picks it up and hands it over. That was hilarious. But it just sort of... I just didn't get... I think it was overhyped for me. A load of people going, it's the best thing ever! And
yeah. I mean, that was my comment, that I felt that it did an okay job of being a comedy because I laughed at it. But it wasn't enough that I'd ever go and see it as a comedy film. And it didn't do the job of being a sci-fi film. But it's not a bad sci-fi film. Like, it had cool space scenes, but it didn't have enough that I'd say you could go just for the space scenes. And it didn't quite have enough of a superhero movie to make it be worth going to see as a superhero movie.
Yeah, I felt like I hadn't done my homework. I felt like I was sitting an exam I hadn't researched for. You know, it was there was like it was just throwing so many sci-fi names at me, and I was like, whoa, I don't even know the name of the main character yet. Could you go back and tell me that one again? And it's like places and things.
Emmett.
It was overly complicated.
The lead character's called Emmett.
Yeah, the lead character's called Emmett. That's why I ended up calling him anyway. But no, it was just overly complicated. Like, and I just as a because there was the bad guy, and the bad guy had people who worked for him, but he also worked for somebody else who was only in like one scene and was never mentioned again. That's the Thanos guy who was at the end of Avengers, and I had no idea that was that guy. So he was. I assume that's just for setup, and that's the sort of thing, is because they're trying to tie all these movies in together. This setup is getting confusing. Like there was no real conclusion to much. Like Karen Gillan just pissed off. She was like, "Oh, I did it, bye," and just drove away midway before. Yeah, just before the final battle scene. The final battle scene made no sense. Like, his plan was, if I touch this to this planet, then the whole planet is destroyed. Okay, what are you going to do? I'm going to take my massive attack ship and land it in the city. Well, why not get, like, a tiny ship and just go to the other side of the planet where there isn't a giant city and just go, doop.
Yeah.
Like, they're all going to be dead. You're not broadcast. Like, the planet will be gone. That will be instilling fear enough. I don't know why you're trying to attack this planet full on. Me no understandee. And, yeah, it was...
Do you understand now, though, why I feel the sequel should be called Awesome Mix 2?
Yes, that makes sense.
And because they didn't. They called it Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It was like, no, it should have been called Awesome Mix 2.
Yes, this should have been called Awesome Mix 1. Boom, there, tying it in. I don't know. It was like a pilot, and pilots are never as good as the TV show. And there's no TV show that has a pilot that's like my favorite episode ever. Possibly, arguably, Matt Smith's first episode, but that's not a pilot. So, it was just because they had to get all these people together and they had to get all of their motivations out, and they really did a bad job with some of that stuff.
I think Studio 60 has a good pilot.
Studio 60 has an amazing pilot, but that's Aaron Sorkin. That's cheating.
Well, no, because...
No, not now, because he writes The Newsroom.
I was about to say, he did The Newsroom, where the pilot is way better than the rest of the series. And... The West Wing isn't the best pilot. Yeah. Well, actually, the pilot's not too bad for The West Wing.
Yeah, end of Two Cathedrals is the best bit. We all know this. The series 2 finale.
Yeah, that is brilliant.
Oh god,
I love that bit.
Every now and then I just go back and rewatch that. And I was like, yep, I'll just rewatch this again. Just rewatch this because this is the best television can be. With Leo, and just watch this. Oh god.
Okay.
Yeah, so it felt like a big, messy pilot that wasn't... It was just a bit too much going on. They didn't need to jump to as many locations and do as many things, and they introduced characters for 5 seconds, and then they pissed off. And then, like, the Collector, who I've been told for ages and ages is very important, was in, like, a scene. And then it ended with a duck, and I'm just lost. I was so confused. The after-credit scene, just a duck's there. I'm like, okay, it's a duck. Apparently he's a Marvel character as well.
He is.
Just stop.
He was part of a very bad movie, I believe, which had a puppet and the girl from Back to the Future. That's pretty much all I know. The main girl from Back to the Future, the mum slash... Yeah. The mum slash all of the other female characters that she ended up playing. Because everyone played multiple characters.
Yes, because that was fucking filming on a budget. That's this year. We still got, time. We need a few more Jaws movies. What Jaws movie is it in Back to the Future?
I can't remember.
Fucking YouTube could do this. Like, if we just got the biggest YouTubers to each make their own Jaws movie, we
could.
Get there.
I don't think we'd be able to do the flying car, though, with YouTube?
I don't know. CGI can do anything these days. Oh, incidentally, if you go in space, you die. Don't try and do romantic fucking scenes in space. People are like, oh, I'm gonna save you by giving you motion canister. You're not wearing gloves. You're dead. You're as dead as a can of Spam. You died. Blood is flying out of your eyes. Your brain has turned into ice cold rice pudding. You're dead. Stop it, films. Fucking stop it.
Yep.
I've realised that is one of my pet peeves. Like, if you want to break an advanced rule of science and go, ooh, space technology, fine. If you put a dude out in space, fuck you. Fuck you.
I agree. Breaking advanced rules feels much more acceptable than breaking simple rules sometimes.
Yeah.
It was there was a Final Fantasy... In the Final Fantasy VII movie, there was a bit where basically the guy needs to reach someone who's very high up, and he keeps meeting other people, jump up to meet the main character, and then basically give him a boost. And there's me going, that is not how that works. You have not understood how this works.
Yeah.
Because they give them a boost up while in the air, and then keep going up with him. You're like, what the
It's physics. Shut your face. I got kind of lost and startled, and it just, I don't know, I felt like if I knew what all the characters were, then I would have had a better time, but they could have... Also, they ruined my favourite joke. My favourite joke they actually ruined, because the best joke is in the trailer, and it's not in the film.
Okay, what was that?
The best joke in the trailer is when they're behind like the security screen and he raises up his middle finger and it comes out going, obscene gesture. I think that's hilarious.
Okay.
In the movie, they don't have the obscene gesture thing flash up.
Yeah.
So it's just him swearing. And I'm there going, oh. Okay. Yeah, the swearing didn't fit either. Like, if you're trying to go light and campy, the swearing just seemed off. Like, it was just two things. It was very cartoony. Like, everything that happened was very cartoony. But it was also going, oh, look at all this danger. I can't care about that because you've gone very, very far into the cartoony world. I don't care about the health and safety of Wile E. Coyote. Why should I care about Sirius or Seed in Roadrunner? I wouldn't. It's the same sort of thing. I have this huge disconnect between tone and what the fuck's actually happening. And they kind of messed it up. And also it was just fucking a million things happening. And there were Infinity Stones. And there was a duck.
I felt they tried to do one of your favourite jokes quite a bit, which is the opening sort of cutscene sort of thing, which is let's have a really impressive sci-fi landscape and instead just have him listen to a pop song dancing. Which is kind of, you regularly like the joke of, let's have a really big situation and do something very small and simple in it.
Yes, I like that joke. I think, of course, the soundtrack was amazing because it was old music, and old music is vastly superior to new music.
Yeah.
Yep, fucking music hipster, fuck you all. Supertramp greater than One Direction. It's not even a thing I'm going to bother arguing. It's just a fact. Written it down. I've written that. We should actually just write that as a fact. That's one of the first ever scientific facts.
That's not even an opinion as fact. That's just fact.
That is just a fact. If you took a teenage girl at the One Direction concert and went, come over here, listen to this, and played some Pink Floyd, she'd be like, oh, this is all horseshit, I'm going to go and listen to this for a while.
I do not like
the One
Pink
Direction
Floyd.
concert. What?
I hate Pink Floyd.
What?
I'm already a depressive. I do not need more of that shit.
Oh, I love Pink Floyd. I'm one of those people who all the music I like is basically 70s stoner music. It's like Supertramp and fucking like a Pink Floyd and stuff. All the music I listen to, I'm there going, yeah, and that's my jam.
See, I have the musical tastes of probably a teenager. In that I love Queen and Jim Steinman stuff, so sort of Bat Out of Hell and stuff. So
I like Robbie Williams as well.
And
that's my
musicals
weakness.
And things as well. I do like that. I mean, of concerts I've gone to go and see, like Julie Andrews is one of them, and Glee is the other. So like, and Tim Minchin, like that is my musical experience.
And Madness. Are you a Madness musical?
I went to see the Madness musical as opposed to Madness by themselves, but yes.
I saw Madness at Christmas. They were amazing.
That's good.
Suggs was fantastic. I have no idea how Suggs does a 2-hour show. Considering, like, he's been smoking since forever. How does he still have a voice? I have absolutely no idea.
I have no idea either.
He was great. He finished the first song. Oh, it had the same sort of opening as Close Encounters. No, the same sort of, my favourite bit of Close Encounters was the opening of the Madness show. So it was the Night Boat to Cairo, which just starts with that dude. But as they did that, they just flashed all the lights on in time of the thing, and just the stage lights. So it just sort of lit up, and it just reminded us, like, oh, we're in Close Encounters. That's quite cool. But yes, after finishing the first song, Suggs just goes, "Thank you, London! Good night!" and walks off. And then did come back on for a little while. That was his opening bit. It's great. He was on QI. Did you see he was on QI?
I didn't.
Just as a side note, he's on the most recent episode of QI.
Oh,
which you can go watch.
I will go check that out.
Who the fuck is Suggs? You'll find out one day. Google it. Madness. They played on top of Buckingham Palace.
Their musical, though, is ruddy good.
Their musical is amazing.
Partially because, A, Madness writes a really good song for a musical.
Yes.
Whereas, because they write songs about life rather than a collection of love songs, like, they capture so many different parts of life that it's very easy to write a musical and have the songs make sense. And then on top of that, the staging of the whole thing, it's because it's basically a kind of sliding doors sort of, you go through and it's sort of one person takes the good choice and one person takes the bad choice. But it then means
multiple timelines.
Which means that they then regularly have to sort of switch costumes on stage and things.
Yeah, because the good decision of handing himself in was white, and the bad decision of not handing himself in was the black costume. And they do really fast switches that terrify me.
Yeah.
There's one, I just don't know how they do it. They do it on stage. They change the entire suit of the guy on stage. He's behind umbrellas for like 5 seconds, and his entire suit and shoes change. Have you ever tried to put on shoes in under an hour? I have no idea how to do it. You put and then you're like, fuck and you get a fucking spatula in there and try and get your fucking foot in there, and then you got to work out how to tie a knot, and you got to tighten it on all the right places. By this time, your shoe's on fire, so you have to put that out. It all goes horribly wrong. Yeah. 5 seconds, and the shoes are entirely different. They also do fake out changes as well, where they swap the guy around, and then he's changed into someone else.
Yeah, there are times.
It's on DVD. You can get it.
There are times when the actor is on stage twice, and that's impressive because that's not a camera effect. That is a person on stage twice. Yeah. And then the other thing that's also rather impressive is it's gone. Oh, you were saying about the tying your shoes. It's like the deleted scene in Scott Pilgrim, where he does all of the fast putting on his outfit.
Yeah,
and then
it really
takes forever to put on the shoes.
That's exactly what it is. It's just shoes. Incidentally, I've just found that I searched for Our House, which is the Madness musical. There may or may not be a version of that on YouTube. You may or may not be able to watch.
Okay.
Just say, hey, it's on tour again? I didn't know it was on tour again.
We might have to go and see that.
Oh no, it's finished. It was 2013. Oh fuck!
I'm
God
sorry.
Damn it! I have to go see it again. It was you saw it with Suggs. It wasn't Suggs on the DVD, which I found so weird.
I saw it with Suggs, and then I've also seen it when it was touring at the Cliffs or something.
Yes, I saw.
Which, for those of you who don't know, is the place in Southend that people would go to.
Just the theatre, darling. Theatre in Southend.
It's
a slightly bigger one. There's two. There's the Palace Theatre, which is the smaller one, and there's the Cliffs, which is the bigger one by the sea, which is the one where all the bigger comedians go. The
problem is that this podcast is basically me and Dan catching up with each other.
It really is.
And sometimes our shorthand just won't make sense to you. So, but we were talking about movies.
So about Guardians of the Galaxy being
I went to go and see Birdman.
Yes, you did.
And it was kind of nice. Like, my general view of the film is, if that is my 5th best movie of this year, it's a good year for films. Mm-hmm. If that's the best I saw this year, it is a bad year for films. Like, it was kind of that quite nice, but not overly stunning. It's also kind of, I'd call it commercially arty, as in it wasn't arty to the really slow, painful levels that I struggle with. It was very easy to work it out because the whole movie's one shot.
Oh, good God.
But it clearly isn't because, like, again, as we were saying in the last one, like, only this time with camera tricks, like, Michael Keaton is on screen twice at the same time, and so are a few other people.
Yeah.
So they clearly did multiple runs. So there has to be edits in there, but I can't see them. Like, I think I saw about 3 places where they probably edited, and I know practically that they must have edited more than that. Like, I know practically there must be hundreds of edits in it, but you never see any of them, which is really impressive. So the lighting and the cinematography all becomes that much more impressive because it's one camera moving around and everything's very raw and real. Mostly it's set in a theatre because it's really a play. It's basically about a washed-up actor, which is why Michael Keaton playing the character makes it so beautiful, because he's famous for playing Batman, and basically he plays an actor who's famous for playing Birdman, trying to reclaim his credibility by putting on this play, and basically it going the process of his play going on, and him trying to fight for artistic credibility in the theatrical world. And that's basically the film, and if you don't want to go and see that, then that's fine. But if you think the whole film shot with one camera angle and some good performances is worth going to see, then it's worth going to see. I think it's definitely a film that if you hype it too much will be a disappointment. That there's some clever bits, and if you like clever bits, it's good. There's a few bits in there which are just a bit stupid, and yeah, they're just a bit stupid. Like, he's on the borderline of going mad, and they do some of that arty. Did he really go mad, or did he really have superpowers? Who knows? And not really wrap that up properly. But so long as you can handle that, it was quite good and worth going to see. However, it's been nominated for like 1 million Oscars.
Yes.
And I don't really understand how it did that. Because
yes, you do. Yes, you know the rules of the Oscars.
Because, yeah.
The Oscars are the films that I will never see.
Exactly. Like, every movie I enjoy just doesn't... Okay, so have you seen the nomination list for the Oscars?
Yes, I have been bitching about it for a while because there's a very big omission.
The Lego Movie.
Very large oh!
Our film of the year.
Stunning omission. Isn't even in the best animated feature film.
Which is normally the only awards that I actually saw in a year.
Yeah. But How to Train Your Dragon 2 was. You said it was good. Was it as good as the Lego Movie?
It was not as good as the Lego Movie.
Boom.
It was very good. I will say I saw Book of Life, which I think was also up there. And Book of Life was not even worth looking up at the Lego Movie. Like, the only thing the Book of Life really had going for it was that it was all puppets. And like the best I could say was it was an interesting stylistic choice to do the whole thing, making it look like it was made out of basically a child's toy. If only there hadn't been another movie out that had been entirely created out of a child's toy and done it better.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of that is like the stylistic choice of carving things out of wood, and you're like, yeah, but you still got a wood trying to look like something. Whereas with Lego, the water that isn't really made out of water and the different scales just...
Yeah.
So basically, they have cemented the fact that I
know
never
nothing.
want to win an Oscar. And if I ever do win an Oscar, it will just I will go up and read all of the other films that should have won Oscars and then reject it.
Yeah.
But they're never going to give me an Oscar because I won't make a movie. Like, if they ever even nominated me, they'd me going, what did I do wrong? I thought this was a good movie.
That's the ultimate insult. The ultimate insult.
So, yeah. So, that's
what
movie
else was
news.
on? Big Hero 6, I think, was on the list.
Yeah, that hasn't come out in the UK yet.
Yeah, it's not come out fucking anywhere. But I think it came out in, like, Russia and America, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I've not gone to see it. So that was...
Well, we can't have seen it because it... Yeah, Box Trolls probably is good. I wanted to go and see that and just never quite got round to it. But that's probably going to be one of the...
I've never heard of. There were two I've never heard of.
One of them was was the last Studio Ghibli movie, I think. Though I haven't seen it, so I don't know anything about it other than Studio Ghibli said, yeah, we're kind of done now. And they're the big... They make the American-friendly Japanese films. Mm-hmm. But I have no idea what the other one was.
It watched like by 8 people or something.
Yeah.
There was one that was like 8 people watched this in the cinemas. It must win the Oscar over the Lego Movie, which was officially the greatest movie humans have ever created, ever.
But they never pick up the films that I admire as a creator.
Yeah.
It's like I love when Whoopi Goldberg gave out Best Director in 2001, I think, and she sort of listed out the nominations and at the end just wrote, and then at the end ad-libbed, and I guess Moulin Rouge just directed itself.
Yeah.
And the fact that we didn't get sort of Scott Pilgrim didn't win any awards
for anything.
And that bearing in mind how few people saw Scott Pilgrim, that deserved editing and directing nominations. It was clearly too big a budget for them to give best movie to.
Well, didn't they toss themselves off vigorously about all the Lord of the Rings movies?
Yeah, I think they did.
They got low. I'm gonna fucking go through the list now.
I think Lord of the Rings 3 won Film of the Year that year.
It probably did.
But yeah,
there's like one film that's ever won Best Picture ever that I like, and that's Forrest Gump. And that's it.
Yeah, The Matrix didn't win it.
Star Wars didn't win it.
Didn't win
pointing
it.
that out.
And that did change the face of movie making as we know it. So yeah. So basically, that's... And it also really bugs me because computer game awards all go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Because I'm a really arty person in computer games. I like the twist endings and the... I mean, for me, I like computer games to have depth to them because I'm playing them, which means a computer game can teach me things about myself in a way that a film never can. Because... I actually played that character and I made decisions, and the way that I made decisions affected me. Or by forcing me to make decisions and forcing me to play in a different way, I get to experience life from a different viewpoint. So for me, I really like that in a computer game because it's the interactive part of a computer game. And movies, I like more just to try and blast me with an emotion, preferably a good one. Sort of make me happy for an hour and a half is what I want from a movie because it's only an hour and a half long. Yeah, and it's not like I really enjoy rewatching movies. It's not like I ever find a hidden ending the third time of watching it. Like it's not like I can go, well, this time I'll play it. I'll only level up these stats. No, that's not how you do movies.
That's only ever happened once to me, and that was Cloverfield, because it did have technically an alternate ending, if you were paying enough attention.
Yeah, okay.
I've looked it up. All the Lord of the Rings films were nominated for Best Picture, and the third one actually won it.
Yeah.
There you go. I keep seeing things that annoy me.
Did Beauty and the Beast win it, or did it just win Best Animation?
I don't know. The Hurt Locker won in the year that Up was nominated. Titanic won. That's a shame in itself.
And not Terminator.
Titanic? And not anything. Terminator wasn't even mentioned that year. When did Terminator come out?
No, Terminator is by the same director.
Oh, James Cameron, isn't it?
It's James Cameron, so it's Terminator is his best work, in my opinion. And Terminator 2.
That's fair.
But Terminator...
Not a non-Avatar fan?
But no one is are they? But the thing about Terminator 2 is Terminator 2 was much more of a movie the Oscars wouldn't like. Whereas Terminator 1 is built on a shoestring budget. Almost literally. Like, the final shot of the Terminator was an accident because they forgot to film it. So they had to then go back and film it. So it's a red LED, and the final shot of the Terminator is basically crumpled up tinfoil. They didn't even build a model for it. It's just sandwiched between two pieces of foam spray painted silver, and the smoke that goes across the scene is one of his friends smoking a cigarette and just blowing the cigarette smoke over the top of it. And when the Kyle Reese gets zipped up in a body bag, that's not a body bag, that's a suit bag that he just had in the car, and he cut the bottom out and shoved it over the top and zipped it up. Like, a lot of movies say they're done on a tiny budget, but that is one of the movies where that they totally lived up to their shoestring budget. It's one of those ones where you look at it and you're like, oh Jesus, that really was built at practically nothing. And although it's a thriller, there's a monster coming after you, it's all of the beats and the pauses and it tells narrative in a really great... Every time you have a run, you go for things, and then you start telling information, and then you start running again, and then you tell more information. And there's really nice stuff in there. It's also one of the movies I most want a director's cut of, because if you watch the film and the deleted scenes, all of the deleted scenes run into the sequel better. And he made a lot of decisions to cut things, and the cleverer stuff is in the stuff that he cut. Because there are things like, why are we here? Is they do actually make a decision to go after Cyberdyne because they start the Terminators, which is why they end up in the Cyberdyne lab. And they actually sort of do the fact that the Terminator went back is what created the Terminators in the first place.
Yeah.
As a full loop. Though they're doing a new movie and that looks awful, so...
When did Back to the Future come out? 1985?
It would have been... I think it was 1986. I think it got delayed a year, but it was supposed to be 1985, so...
apparently it came out in 1985.
Okay,
Rotten Tomatoes says Back to the Future, 1985. Now, in 1985, Out of Africa won. Back to the Future wasn't nominated. Out of Africa is an awful, horrible film, and I just checked the critics, and they don't even like it.
Yeah.
Back to the Future, 96%. Out of Africa, 50%.
Yeah.
52%.
So, basically, movie awards are rubbish.
The Oscars are an inverse, which worked because they gave the Lego Movie Best Song with Everything Is Awesome, which is a song that's designed to be the worst song ever. That was the entire point. It's supposed to be the most irritating, catchy, but nothing song ever, and it's won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Or been nominated for an Oscar.
I liked the Environmental Impact People's version of it. They did a version of... Yeah, they basically did a thing about... They did a picture of the ice capsules with polar bears, and then slowly covered it all... Oh, sorry, made out of Lego.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly covered it with oil, and it was picking at... I think it was Shell, and it was picking at Lego dealing with Shell and their awful things. But it was done in probably a minor key, because that's normally how you make things sad, and was done in a very sad way.
Everything was awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Is that movie's done? We've wrapped that up.
That's movies done, yeah. We're sticking with Lego, though, because I'm going on to toys now.
Ooh.
Because 2015 had lots of new toys, so I thought we'd go with that. Mostly Lego.
Yeah. I've got the right here in a box. It's still boxed, but I've got the new modular building, detective's office.
Fantastic.
Oh Jesus! I'll shake it so people can hear it. Hell yeah!
I'm surprised you can shake it.
It's quite ridiculously big. It's
you must have been working out.
I have been working out. 2,262 pieces. And that's going to go on my...
Can I just say, because this really pissed me off,
Uh-huh.
I worked out... I finally joined a gym last year for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I worked out every day that wasn't a weekend. Really gave up everything and lost virtually no weight at all. Then gave up for 3 weeks for Christmas and ate sugar and lost huge amounts of weight. And it's just so demoralizing going back to the gym going, no, just sugar does it. But that just bugged me, so
Yes.
I had to mention that. But yes,
Lego. I don't go to a gym. I just have a runny thing here. A runny thing. It's just this puddle. I don't know. But no, it's a runny thing, and I do some time running every day. And I feel awful. I'm tired all the time. I ache. I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't feel better. Everyone's lied to us. This is just a big conspiracy.
I agree with this, though I was a bit worried about sort of, dying of heart attacks, so
Yeah,
that's why I've done it.
Thing.
And
Yeah.
having said that, when I say joined a gym, it's worth noting that I have a gym in my building, and that is a huge part of why I can do it, is A, I can go particularly when no one else is there,
Yeah.
and B, the ability to warm up, and basically warming up and warming down just makes you look like a prat.
Yes.
Being able to do that in my bedroom, all of my showering I can do in my apartment, and the fact that sort of once I get out of the gym, I just basically press the button and then just fall backwards into a lift, and then when the lift takes me up to my floor, I fall out into my apartment and go, okay, that was done. I don't think I would be able to exercise if I actually had to go out and do it.
That.
And I get so self-conscious in gyms too. Like, I'm not a self-conscious person, but with gyms, it's just, I have now started actually bringing us back on topic, building things out of Lego before I go to the gym, just to remind me that I'm doing this so that I can play with Lego and that life is worth living. Because it's the only thing that gets me down there.
I do kind of the same thing. I bought, I'll rustle them so you know I'm not lying. I brought about 40 minifigure packets that you can hear here from old, but they're old season, so they're currently on series 13. It's just about to come in shops or just came in shops. This is 8 and 11 and 3 and 5, and they're kind of expensive to get hold of. But I bought a shit ton, and I'm only allowed to open one every time I hit the minimum requirement for exercise in a week. Boom.
Fantastic.
Which is I run 20k, which is that's fine. I do. That's fine. 20k of running, and boom, I get minifigures. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes, Lego. They've got pirates coming out this year. Pirates.
Well, I've been going on a bit of a Bionicle bender.
Ooh.
Because Bionicles come back. And it's worth noting that over Christmas, I got rid of all of my old Lego to Dan. It was
fair bit of it, yeah.
I mean,
you
it's
could
probably
rebuild a house with it. I actually live in the Lego that I built stuff with now. Yeah.
I mean, I gave you a cubic meter of just Lego.
Yes, solid. It's good.
Yeah, they were all in their original boxes and cases, but that was 3 meters worth, and Dan wanted it all just in one. So
if I'm shipping that shit to Canada, I'm shipping that shit to Canada. I'm not shipping the boxes.
That's fair enough.
I don't care for boxes. Some people do collect the Lego boxes. I would be drowning in boxes. I've barely got enough room for the Lego. I don't know how people do this.
I got rid of boxes now. I started doing that.
Fuck them.
Again, just space, because I live in smaller apartments.
Yeah.
And not houses.
Yeah.
Birmingham?
You live in Birmingham?
No, I don't.
In
London.
I thought I was doing a Birmingham accent.
Okay.
Birmingham. You live in Birmingham.
But
Birmingham accent.
Yeah, Bionicles come out. They kind of did the things that required it to be Bionicle, so that's good.
Yeah.
It has interchangeable masks, and incidentally, the new head sculpt is wonderful. I really like the new head sculpt under the mask. And And then they also did sort of bring back the gearboxes, because the thing that has kind of replaced Bionicle didn't have the gearboxes. So now you have a gear at the back which you can move, and the arms move, which is fun. In fact, actually adds a large amount of replayability for me, because otherwise, for some reason, the Heroscape style, which is sort of you build a skeleton and then you clip bits on top of it, is less fun to take apart and put back together again than when you've actually got a whole gearbox system to build as well. So, although I don't necessarily have anything against the Hero Factory, like, because I only really got in at the end of Hero Factory and got the mechs, but I don't take apart the mechs and put them back together again very much. Whereas I do with the Bionicle quite a lot, because that gearbox and the weird ways in which you can do things just feels much more fun. That said, the fact what they took from Hero Factory makes them way better than the old Bionicle, in that the old Bionicle had no posability, was mostly custom pieces, and the advantage of kind of the new system, which is a skeleton and you clip pieces over the top of the skeleton to bulk them out, does mean they become more like Lego, as in now I can switch just small parts of armor around from one person to another, or I can take off this bit and put it on there. And so I've seen people do like even things like I can take the armor off of the arms and put it onto the legs, and so even with one set you can kind of make other builds, which you could not do with classic Bionicle, because an arm was one piece instead of a joint, and a leg was one piece, and at best you were looking at a different piece for the arms and the legs, so you could switch around the arms and legs, but that was kind of it. Whereas now it's like the thighs and shins and the two parts of your arm are all separate parts and different between all of the characters as well, so they have different heights and things, and so I really liked that. I will say I feel the story isn't being told quite as well, because the story of the original Bionicle was all told through an adventure game on the website. Yeah. Which is really why it was brilliant. Like, it's the second best thing that second best computer game Lego has ever made by a mile. And it's almost the best game they ever made. And it's because it was a really slow-paced adventure game where you could explore the world. You didn't play any of the lead characters. You played this small character. So you kind of just went around and got to explore the world and get to absorb the world. And the adventure game actually released updates sort of every month. So it wasn't a game where you felt really frustrated if you weren't sort of making progress, because lots of the time you couldn't make progress just because you had to wait for the next update. So it was a really nice getting to know and feel like you're part of the world. And so telling the story through that method was really nice. By comparison, the modern game app is much less impressive. Well, it's basically a very standard application for mobile phones, and you attack and you have to move around by touching the screen and jab the enemies and you attack them, and it's very generic. On the plus side, it's a free game with no in-app purchases. On the downside... Oh, I also don't think it's fully finished. I think there's going to be an update to it.
Okay.
Because, I can't work out how to get hold of most of the parts. Because, again, going with that kind of nice in that you can make customizable parts... you can actually customize your Bionicle characters in the app. But kind of the big reveal, or from a Bionicle fan point of view, is it's had a few of these kind of alternate modes where they merge with the small guys. Because, so there are the big Toa guys and the smaller guys, who are kind of supposed to be villagers. and the villager guys have official builds of building them with the Bionicles, which is basically, here, take my weapon. Okay? Which is a bit lame.
For me.
Well, it's a bit lame, but it does mean you still have the two characters. Like, it doesn't deconstruct and merge into one.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is, on the Lego Club website, there is a build for the fire one, Tahu, to join the two together, which is by far his best mode, because Tahu's one of the worst toys they've got.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they decided to make him very tall, but because they made him very tall, to kind of fill him out, they put chess pieces on his legs, but they just look like chess pieces. And he doesn't really have very good shoulders. Like a lot of the other guys have bigger shoulders, which covers up the fact that the gearbox is... Because you basically plug a gearbox onto the back of the skeleton, the arms are slightly further back, which kind of means you need a big shoulder piece to hide up his shoulder, hide up the shoulders. And he doesn't have anything there, so I don't like Tahu at all. The best thing about him is his shield piece. His fire swords, and it's the same as Kapaka's shield pieces, who, in my opinion, is the best looking of them all. But I got off point. Yes. In the computer game. So yes, on the Lego Club there is.
You'll make it. I believe in you.
In the Lego game, they have alternate versions of Kopaka and Onua, who is the white and the black versions, and no one has quite worked out how you unlock them. So we can't unlock the others. I think it's an error, and we weren't supposed to have them. I think some people have just got them randomly, and it's a mistake. But they have really cool second modes, which I think is just the protectors. The villagers mixed with the Toa. So I'm really looking forward to those coming out and them revealing more of those going on. So I think there's more to the computer game, but it's not plot heavy or anything. And it's a pity that they had such a good adventure game. Incidentally, I mentioned it was the second best. If you're interested, the best Lego game they ever made was Spybots, or Spybotics, I think it went down, which is an amazing tactical game and well worth trying to find someone who has an emulator of it somewhere.
I actually like Lego Creator. That was my one.
Well, the Lego
helicopters. Them a lot.
They had a game which was kind of a tactical snake game. So it had classic Snake rules of, as you move, you get a tail. Only eventually you stopped producing tail, but the tail was also your health. So really you needed to keep moving to get your health back, and then you could attack other people. So there was lots of things like how fast could you move meant how fast could you grow your health, and sometimes you'd have to move out of the position you want to be in so you could get your health back so you could survive long enough. So it was a really good tactical moving things around game, and then you had different programs. It was all supposedly based on hacking and had nothing to do with the Lego game, but was a really good Flash game. It might have been it was a Flash game. So well worth trying to find that if you want it.
Digging it out.
But yes, not quite so great storytelling this time. But I mean, it's still early. It was still only in their first month, so they could have things to change. I like the skull masks that they've created. That sort of clip onto the faces and look like masks, but are also look enough like spiders for me to buy that they're spiders and creepy crawlies, but not enough like spiders to scare me, because they only have 2 eyes and 4 legs, and that's not really a spider. That's
an ant.
And ants have 6 legs. It's like,
oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Fuck.
Like, they're
it's
going,
an elephant. Done.
That's basically a mammal, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so although they sort of do the job of me going, oh yes, I see how that looks like a swarm, and it doesn't look unnatural for this mask to have legs and crawl around, but it also looks really cool when on someone's face. So I really like that, and it means that all of your boxes have 3 masks, because you have the skull mask, you have the normal mask, and then they all come with the gold mask, which, for me, coming from classical Binacle days where they used to make you buy blind packs to get all of the masks, is very nice of them to have just included the golden masks in the boxes. They didn't even put them in... The thing that I would have done as a person trying to make money, and we know that I'm not a very good person at trying to make money, but I'd have at least put them with the the villagers.
Yeah.
Because at least then you could say, I have to buy the villager to get the golden mask. But no, they put it all in the box, which is good. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's kind of nice. The pricing. Oh, they messed up the pricing in the UK so much.
Well, because Lego is the most notorious expensive thing in the whole world.
Not just that. But you know how everything costs a fortune in the UK?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think America got it right, okay? So America has the price of, you can buy a villager for $10.
Yes.
And you can buy a small tower, because they split up the 6 tower into 3 small ones and 3 big ones. And the 3 small tower are $15. And the 3 big tower are $20, okay? And that kind of feels right for the size. Like, the small protector dudes, I kind of like. They kind of have that nice kind of feel that they're all built differently, but they're all still rather posable. And I really like the new sort of Gatling gun they've got, which fires studs, which is always nice when you fire studs. I've already lost one.
Men getting fired out of your Lego. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I really liked that. It's a pity they have that the merge rules are so crap at the moment. But like I said, the Lego game and the rule and the instructions on the Lego Club site suggest that we're going to get much better builds for those. So, looking forward to that part. But yeah, the American prices are 10, 15, and 20, and the conversion rate, if we're being generous, let's call it 0.7. So every $1 is 70 pence in the UK, which means a $20 tower should be £14. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so us being the UK and closer to Lego, which comes from Europe, means our top level tower is £16. That's not too bad, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Like, then the $15 going over is what? £12? Should be £12, and is actually £14.
Oh, less than that.
And is actually £14. Again, not very good. But, and here's where they really screwed up. The protectors. The protectors were $10, which should be £7. But they're £10. You know when you're there going, but these are supposed to be the small cheap guys. Like,
yeah.
It's like Steam sales. It's like the cheaper it is, actually you start going into exponentials once you go below sort of £2, because everyone goes, oh, it's only £2, and buy something even if they don't know if they want it.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be kind of, for me, it's like you should be able to buy a villager with pocket money easily, and then you have to wait for Christmas or your birthday to buy the tower. So I think that those protectors should have been £5 toys, which would have been about $7. And
but we're always screwed over with pricing. It's always, I mean, Lego's always cheaper in the USA as well. Like, but it's made not there, and I don't know why. The other one is sorry, no, this isn't Lego, but there's the WWE Network, which is always advertised as $9.99. So it's like $9.99. And when it's come to the K, they're like, we're so happy we can keep it at the price of $9.99. So we're going, wait, so hang on, it was $9.99, and you're keeping it at the price of £9.99. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I'll spot something there.
So expensive to be a UK person.
It is. Oh, it's just living in London. Jesus. You don't have any limbs left. You've paid with an arm and a leg to get your legs. Oh,
it's handy that the arms and the limbs have gone, actually, because now I can fit into the apartment.
Smaller apartment.
It's
like those lockers you got locked in at high school. True story.
Yeah, so...
those ones were tiny. Stacks of 3. Ooh.
So yeah, cool. I like what they've done with Lego, with Bionicle. Kind of wish they were doing a little bit more with the adventure game, because the adventure game was so much of the Bionicle experience for me, and I really feel like we're at a point where I'd have loved a Bionicle adventure game to come back, and it kind of feels a bit like they're lacking by not having it. But overall, I was pretty happy. I've got all of the Toa now.
Ooh,
Pahatu was the biggest disappointment, because he's the stone guy, and classically from old Bionicle, his history is he has kicky legs. That's kind of his go-to ability. So everyone else had moving arms, he had movie legs, which meant his body was upside down, and it was so easy for them to do it because like I can mod it, and I did. So when I build my Pahatu, I mod him so that he has kicky legs, because there's just nothing to him otherwise. It's like he's got nothing interesting going for him, because basically his defining characteristic is he's the second smallest character. He doesn't have any shoulder pads at all, so he looks a bit crap. It's like he's asymmetrical, and that's kind of interesting, but not interesting enough to make him useful. So he and Tahu are definitely at the bottom of my list. Kapaka's at the top of my looks and fun to play with list, because he's got this great big eye shield, and he's got the biggest shoulders of anyone, and the white and gold just really works as a colour scheme for me, so I really like that. And the Onua is the best to fun. He's the most fun to build. He is kind of supposed to be this small, really bulky character, but there are just some weird ways they've got round connections, where you're there going, you could have just built a longer stick and just shoved things on it, and it would have been simpler. But it's always fun when they do things in a stupid way. So, I thoroughly recommend the stupid Onua if you were looking for a fun build. And then both Lua and Flabadabzab, the jungle one and the water one.
Oh no, the fucking names. I build houses. I build minifig scale. I've got a fucking Lego train set and a Lego city, and you're doing all your Bionicles and stuff.
Okay, I'll wrap up
different
then.
People.
I'm interested in it. It's nice.
I'm
looking forward to seeing...
We actually overshot the normal length of the podcast, which I know we're
fantastic.
An hour and a half.
That's because we've just been going on about anything.
Yeah, fucking... Next week, structure, or next month, or however regularly we do this, I don't fucking pay attention.
So the...
Next! There we go.
Okay. So I'm looking forward to finding out what's coming next, because there should be the toy fairs soon. So we'll find out what's next down the line. I really love the fact that the New York Toy Fair opens on February the 14th.
Oh.
Because that's Valentine's Day, isn't it?
That is,
I like to think that the way to my heart is on Valentine's Day taking me to the New York Toy Fair. That would definitely cement you as into a relationship with me.
Apply now, ladies and selected gentlemen.
Did you have anything else about Lego you wanted to talk about?
No, not really.
Okay.
We're doing a Valentine's Day set. It's a Valentine's Day set. that they're releasing. It's like just a little scene in a restaurant, which I think is quite cute. It's better because last year they did sort of animals for the special occasions, but little minifigure scale. Fuck it, I just like minifigures. I like little people who are always smiling because they remind me of what I used to be.
And then have scared faces in the background.
Yeah. That's
On the
what
back
you
of their heads.
Secretly, I hide it behind my hair. All my terrified faces.
That's right.
I think that's everything. Let's wrap it up.
Oh no, I have more toy news of the non-Lego variety.
What?
Yeah.
But I want to make a sandwich. All right, hurry up.
Well, Hasbro have said that they're going to make a fan-controlled, fan-built combiner. They've done this before.
Psst, what's a combiner?
It's basically 4 Transformer toys.
Transformers, got it right.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Too far into lingo. Transformers. Yeah. Sometimes you can get...
Michael Bay, yeah?
I will hunt you down and kill you. I'll get a Mountie after you. They always get their men, right?
Yes, I believe so. I've heard that about them.
And they're in Canada. So...
Yes.
Great. Okay.
I also am.
I'll get Mounties after you.
Why?
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yes, Transformers, yes. So sometimes you get a collection of Transformers who all join together into a giant big one.
Yep.
Their current theme on grown-up Transformers, they do toys, and they do some based on sort of kiddie stuff, and some for the fans who are old-school fans, which is the Generations line. And their current generation line is Combiner Wars. And they said that after they've done the first few, they're going to do a fan-built one. So soon people will get to vote to add on to that. They did this a few years ago, not with a combiner, but with just a character, where they said, "I want. What would you like as fans if we created a new character?" And everyone went, "How about more than one girl in the universe?" And they went, "Really?" It was like, "Yeah, we'd like, more." So we now have 3 more Transformer girls in the universe, bringing us to 4 in total.
Fucking hell, poor girls.
I know.
Poor girls. On that planet, just 4 girls.
Well, it was even better
Jesus.
because they then went through and had the comic books, the good comic books from IDW, then just coincidentally happened to have a female writer and a female artist come in to write a mini-series for the fan-created character. So they had a female lead character with a female writer and a female artist, and it sold extremely well, and they're making a second mini-series of them. So it goes to show you people that you can have females in your universe, and it still keeps them being very good.
I thought you were about to say, it goes to show you, be soft, dun dun dun. Girls are for talking to, not just for killing at the start of a video game to start the plot off.
Exactly.
I've heard that.
They also in the Transformer universe, some of the female characters they created are very nice, like the new ones. Not the old one. The old one was just a let's have a girl. The
girl. We need a girl.
Draw
this one with tits.
Exactly. That was kind of what they did. Whereas the new one, they kind of have the latest character was kind of a geisha type character who's kind of trying to serve people and help other people and kind of like in a way that feels like a slightly feminine character, but then also having to struggle with all of the politics and stuff. And she also has a best friend who is female and is a classic, basically blokey bloke who just wants to blow things up and be aggressive, but has been made female. And they also have a female scientist who is hilarious and wonderful. But she's mostly hilarious and wonderful because she's in the More Than Meets the Eye comic, which is my favourite thing in the world at the moment. So she's just been written in a brilliant series. But I will kind of leave that. But yes, they're making a fan-built combiner. It's also funny because they've called it Combiner Wars. But for me, I find this humorous because for me, the Combiner Wars have kind of been happening in the indie Transformer world. For those of you who don't know, there's a lot of good companies who make basically what looks an official Transformer character, but made by fans for fans, sort of with high quality plastic and slightly more fragile, but a way more posability and way more complicated transformations, and really pushing and better sculpting and better, just generally better. But the thing that I give Hasbro so much credit for is they haven't shut this down. And like the only thing these guys normally have, which don't make them the official toy, is an Autobot or Decepticon logo. They have no logos. And B, they've changed the name so it doesn't breach copyright.
Optimus Fine.
Well, things like that.
I made a Optimus Fine toy.
And then because they've got things like that, there's just a whole load of sort of the... And all of these companies are so small that if Hasbro decided to sue any of them, they'd fall to pieces rather than fight it in court. So I give Hasbro so much credit, and I still buy Hasbro toys almost because of that.
Because they're good people.
Because I still love the universe so much because of the indie Transformer toys that I'm that much more likely to add Hasbro toys into my collection, because I have a collection of Transformer toys. Because I really like... It's Lego and Transformers are toys that I can still play with, because I don't do quite so much let's have people shooting at each other play with toys. But with Transformer toys, it's like it gives me something to do with my hands, and sort of change it from one to another and back again is still something I really enjoy the process of, and there's a real art to that. And Lego is obviously building and unbuilding Lego. It's still something that you can do with your hands, and is kind of like jigsaw puzzles and things. It's very nice.
That's why I really dig Lego, is because I constantly like stare at computer screens and am creative at stuff. And with a Lego thing, I just read a book and do a thing. I can zone out and not stare at computers. It's the opposite of what I do for the rest of my job. I like that. I think that's why I like Lego. And also they have proper girl scientists who are girls, apart from the Friends one, which I want to burn them. They're the worst thing in the world. I'll do a video on the Friends minifigures soon, and then hit them all with hammers.
I liked the idea of the girl ones until they actually released the toys, and I saw everything. Like, I didn't mind the idea of them having more curvy figures, but I didn't like the fact that the waist joint is just not anything in Lego.
Yeah, it's its own exclusive joint.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that the neck joints weren't classic neck joints.
Yep, own exclusive joint, and the hair fits in with its own exclusive joint.
Well, the head and the hair aren't exclusive joints. The hair is actually universal, and the head is the lightsaber stick joint, which means it does actually fit onto a pike if you want to put your sister's Lego heads onto pikes at the front of your castle. That is totally doable, and I'm almost of the opinion that might be why they did it. But it's not. So you can mod the heads in, but not onto a proper body. Like, if you built a mech or something, you can put a girl head in, because you can use sort of that claw joint with the arm up, because then the top of the arm would fit into as a neck. But you couldn't sort of just put it in anything else, which for me was a real downside. It was like, I didn't mind the shaped head rather than the yellow head, but I'd have liked the universal neck, and I didn't mind them having a thinner waist, so I didn't mind having a one joint for the waist, but having a sort of half a joint for a waist just wasn't right. And the fact that they totally took away things like rotating hands and
separated legs together. Oh, it's so annoying.
Those were kind of that sort of, if you hadn't have made this such a worse character, I wouldn't have mind. Like, I wouldn't have mind them losing the joints at the back of the legs to have shapely legs. But losing 2 legs to have 1 leg is unforgivable. Like that was one of those ones where it was like, no, that's not even form over style. That's just crap.
Yep.
And so it's like one of those. I wanted to prefer them, but I just couldn't. You're just there going, it was broken on so many levels.
It's like, for Christmas, for the Advent calendar, I got the City one, and I got the Friends one as well, because I like some of the stuff that Friends does. And the City one was like snowmen, and turkeys, and sleds, and little stalls, and a snowball catapult launcher. And all the girl stuff was like, the girl minifigures, kitchen stuff, kitchen utensils, kitchen utilities, and kitchen counters. It was like, Lego! Stop, please. Please stop, Lego. Stop.
It does really bug me that that's the way that Lego has gone.
Well,
and it doesn't have to have.
I have my lady scientists. They're really cool with my little Lego T-Rex, like little Terry skeleton.
And there's some new lady scientists in the new minifig collection as well.
Ooh.
There's a female archaeologist, I believe.
I've got to get all those fucking minifigs.
And
gotta get them all.
One of the Bionicle is female.
Ooh, get you.
Yeah,
Golly. The one with the robot tits. And on that note, I'm going to go get a sandwich.
Okay, then.
I'm starving. The last half an hour, my friend's been going, I'm talking, but I will kill him if he doesn't let me get a sandwich in the next 5 minutes.
Okay,
so
then.
If there's not another one, it's because I killed Watt for a sandwich.
Okay. In the interest of survival and sandwiches, thank you for listening. Ta-ra.
Bye. Sandwich time. Sandwich time. I'm gonna go get a sandwich at Subway.